from you. Thank you very much for joining us today at NewsX. Well, now we have breaking news. According to Lebanon's Health Ministry, an Israeli airstrike on Beirut's southern suburbs has resulted in 1 death and 21 injuries. The strike targeted what Israel described as Hezbollah's chief of staff. The Lebanese ministry has called the attack a preliminary toll, emphasizing that the strike had significant civilian impact. According to reports, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave the orders for a strike in Beirut, which allegedly targeted Hezbollah's chief of staff today. Now we go back to U.S. A federal appeal court has ruled that the Trump administration cannot expand its fast-track deportation process to include immigrants apprehended far from the border. A 2-1 panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia of Circuit has upheld a lower court ruling that the administration's policies violated immigrants' due process rights. The lower court had sided with an immigrant rights group blocking the U.S. Department of Homeland Security from enforcing policies that expedited the removal of immigrants believed to have been in the country for less than 2 years. The country's majority judges, Patricia Millett and Jean-Michel Childs, has said that the administration failed to show that its procedures adequately protected immigrants' constitutional rights. The judges cited concerns about the risk of erroneous summary removal. The ruling keeps much of the lower court's decision intact, but it does allow certain aspects of the policy to continue. Judge Naomi Rao has dissented, calling the ruling impermissible judicial interference, while the Trump administration's appeal is set to be heard in December. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mark Sutherland. He's a geopolitical commentator, joins us live from London. Thank you very much, Mark, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, what political and legal implications could arise if this Trump administration's fast-track deportation policies are eventually allowed to expand?
Good to be with you again, Asima. As you have just stated, they want to expand this. The fast tracking was specifically applied to anyone that they got coming over the border on the Mexico-Texan border, and this was under the Trump administration first, number one, and then the Biden administration then cancelled that. They at the DC-9 in Columbia, in Washington D.C., has said that the Trump administration cannot expand this to other parts of America. And your previous guest has just been understandably making comments on what has been happening in Venezuela, and President Trump then taking out narco boats, or that's what they're saying. The key is they're turning around and going, you have got to adhere to the law, to the letter of the law and the Constitution of the United States. Now, in regard to other things under the Biden, you and I would need to sit here again for a number of hours to go through that, and how the weaponization of the law and how that's been abused. But one of the biggest platforms in regard to the Trump administration on being elected was to deal with illegal immigration. Now, how that's going on, sometimes that looks unsightly when ICE agents are going into various cities in America. If we take Chicago for argument's sake, the history of that, the history of violence, sadly, in that city, and needing to get things dealt with, it's understandable that other people would want to be able to support the law enforcement in that area, especially to get murder rates down. They are very strong on going around the country to get rid of illegal immigration, illegal migrants out of the country. But also, as people would turn around and say, including your previous guest, which is doing it within the Constitution and the letter of the law. And this is what is being tested right now. On a personal level, I understand, in my humble opinion, support that in America, they do not want illegal immigrants coming into the country. There is a legal way to do that, where people would then become American citizens and swear allegiance to the Constitution of the United States, and borders are there for a reason. Problem is, previously 4 years, and we can go back many years. Even though Obama at one point was actually saying, we need to reinforce our border, we need to stop the illegal immigration coming in, and also under the Clinton era, we go back to Reagan, where he was then gave an amnesty, and people were still coming in. So the border issue is huge in regard to many issues that are on there in regard to smuggling drugs over there, and other people that want to do very evil things to America have come over that border in droves, particularly over the last 4 years. So this is a fight within the legal system for the administration to say, well, we wish to do this. We are coming across illegal immigrants doing things in this country that we disapprove of, and we want to be able to fast track them out. And Asuma, in my humble opinion, that is what this is all about. Over to you.
And Mark, as you rightfully mentioned, this has been ongoing for a long period, including other presidents who had to face this issue. What do you think is the biggest issue for them to kind of control their borders? Is it just the fact that it's so huge?
It can be controlled. I know people down there doing that and paying a very clear attention to what is going on there. If they wish to address it, they can. And of course, under the Biden administration and other Democratic administrations, you can then say that it benefits them because people come over and they end up getting into the system, and then they end up being Democrat voters. The whole there needs to be an overhaul of the voting system in America, and keenly keeping an eye on how that's conducted in various states. That's highly important, and people are seeking to do that. I think the border, as you say, of course, is extensive. But a steel wall construction was started under the first administration. It was then stopped. The steel was just sitting there for years, getting rusty, if not sold off for very cheaply. It can be done. There are systems there to do this, and to do it extremely quickly and extremely efficiently. It's the will, and the will is there to do that in the present Trump administration. And I'd urge the Governor Abbott of Texas, for argument's sake, to have that urgency even more, to facilitate that and get it done. As I say, in any project like this, if there's a will, it will get done. The will has to be there, and the will is there. It's also combining that by fighting issues within the legal system there.
Yes, indeed. Yes, I also live by when there's a will, there's a way. Thank you very much, Mark, for sharing that insight with us on NewsX World. Now we move